Hello, everybody. Going live again. I'm super excited. Uh, it is once again extremely hot here in this office, which is super insane. I can't wait for it to actually start getting cold outside so that I am not here sweating like crazy. But go ahead and get my friend on, and then we will go ahead and get started. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Can't complain. Uh,
Love
Similar to
all the
you.
plants.
Oh, thank you. But similar to you, it's really hot here in Houston. Um, I'm currently looking at my pool, kind of wishing I was down there, but
Yeah, I would love for there to be a pool. I didn't really get to go to the pools or the beaches this summer because of the pandemic. I kind of stuck to my waterfalls here in the
Mhm.
mountains. So that's all I got
Oh,
with water this
that's
summer.
all, just the mountains.
Just the beautiful mountains that I live in.
Yeah, I'm jealous. Like everywhere I've lived has been flat. Even when I lived in the Midwest, it was all flat. Then
Yeah,
Louisiana, now
when
Texas.
I moved down to Florida and my friends asked me to go hiking with them and they took me to the prairie or the swamp, I was
Mhm.
like, this isn't hiking. I'm not sure what this is, but it's not hiking.
It's the best we can do.
It's all we've got.
Yeah, give us that credit.
Exactly. So I will go ahead and let you kind of introduce yourself and then we can just jump into a live discussion.
Sure. I'm Daniel. I guess Hot Daniel. Um, it's fun. I promise I didn't make it, but it's a curse I live with. Um, I I guess I am here to talk to you guys because I post stories every day or almost every day that just promote vulnerability and openness and honesty and just kind of motivate you and just trying to make being vulnerable and open a normal aspect. I feel like right now it's kind of taboo and I don't want it to be that way anymore. So I am leading by example and encouraging people and putting my own struggles out there as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that it was probably our parents' generation that made it like you're supposed to say hush hush about anything when it comes to any of your problems. I know that a lot of older generations have given me the advice of maybe you should keep that to yourself. Maybe you
Mhm.
shouldn't share that with the world. And I've definitely, with my YouTube channel, I have shared a lot of very vulnerable moments with the world. And I've honestly felt like I've been able to connect with people on a deeper level than just like the shallow pretend everything's okay type of thing that a lot of people are still kind of doing out there.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think there's a time and a place for all of the above. Sometimes at work I have to pretend like I'm totally chill, and then later I can go find my confidant and explain the situation. But I do agree. I do think it was our parents' generation. I grew up in a split household. My mom was always very open and wanted us to talk. My dad was more like the man, and we don't have issues sort of thing. So it was growing up was a little weird. Thankfully, I ended up on the side where I felt like it was important to talk. Given everything that I went through, that was the only way that I could, really keep moving forward and ending up where I am now is just to realize that it's okay to talk. So,
Yeah,
hope.
I feel like I would say I probably grew up with the exact same thing. Split household. My parents split up when I was 13, and my dad, just like yours, was the kind of keep it to yourself type of person. Whereas my mom, I knew all of her emotions, and she always encouraged us to also share ours. And I believe I also kind of fell on. I took some benefits from my dad as well, but I also kind of fell more on my mom's side when it came to sharing my emotions.
Mhm.
I would say I kind of kept to myself until college. That's when I kind of started sharing all my deeper things that I was struggling with and created some like friendships that kind of became like the foundation of my ability to share my deeper self with the world.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad that you were doing what you're doing. I think that's a good example for everybody as well.
So when it comes to 2020, I think that a lot of us have been dealing with the craziness of the unknown. I think that life has always been kind of an unknown. You're never guaranteed tomorrow, you're never guaranteed another day with the people you love. But I think 2020, we were all so comfortable with the idea that things were normal, and then 2020 came and shook everything up.
Yeah.
So I think that has even the most stable people when it comes to mental health, I think they are starting to even realize that it's a challenge to stay positive. And I think now, since we're all kind of supposed to be social distancing and we are sharing more online, I think a lot of people are starting to become more vulnerable, but it's also a really hard thing to do because you're kind of giving someone the weapon to use against you in places where you're kind of very vulnerable and weak a lot of times, especially when you first start opening up. What are some things that, since you are sharing more vulnerable things online, what are some things that you kind of do in your life to kind of guard yourself from being hurt by being so vulnerable?
Honestly, since I've started doing this, I've been doing it for a little bit over a year. Um, I've only gotten positive things. It's less of guarding myself because when I share something, I've come to terms with it, and nobody can use it against me. I've put it out there. It's not a secret. It's not a weapon anymore. So I really think the first step is just deciding that it's okay for people to know. And then from there, it doesn't matter what people decide to do with it because I'm the one that told the story. I took their strength from them. It's not a weapon anymore. So, no, I don't do anything but decide that today is the day to share this specific fact, or this is what I'm doing today. I hope you guys are doing this too, sort of thing. So,
Awesome. Yeah. So what kind of made you shift to doing that? You said you've kind of been doing it for a year now. What kind of changed your mind with that?
I went through a traumatic moment, and I was posting them more so because I needed to see it. And then as I posted them more, people started responding to me, and they said, oh, I needed to hear this today, and here's why. And I realized that something that takes me 2.5 seconds of my day has the ability to create a big ripple effect. And so I kept doing it. And now I keep doing it because something I say today might really impact somebody else. And to have that conversation, like I talk to so many people every day now. Sometimes it's a little emotionally exhausting, but at the end of the day, it's really fulfilling because I feel like these people may not be vulnerable elsewhere, and I'm their only outlet because we do kind of have that shield of social media. Nobody can see that this conversation is taking place. And that's what keeps me going, is just the responses that I get from people and hoping that they're paying it forward and they're trying to inspire somebody else. It's been really wonderful. Sometimes it's, like I said, it's emotionally exhausting. I've cried with people. I've heard people with really traumatic stories, or sometimes they're lighthearted. It's really a mixed bag.
Yeah, most definitely. So I don't know if you and I have ever talked about how like my YouTube channel kind of got started, but it was kind of an accident. I wasn't planning on sharing my story with the world. I posted it on YouTube, not understanding the platform. It was when it was still very new, and I had tried posting my coming out story so that I didn't have to come out to every single person every single day because that's very mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to post a video that was just like, hey, I'm coming out. Um, if you accept me, great. If you don't, that's your problem, not mine. I'm not here to beg you to love me. If you can't, then bye. But Facebook at the time wouldn't let you load anything past 2 minutes. So I was forced to load it to a different platform, and someone suggested YouTube. And so I posted it there. I created an account, which at the time wasn't owned by Google, but I kind of just posted the link onto my Facebook page, and that was it. I didn't really go back to YouTube. It wasn't until about 3 years later that someone just kind of asked, like, how I dealt with all the hate comments that were under the video. And if you think about it, it was around 2009 when I posted this video. So YouTube was very new. And it was one of the top coming out stories of the time. And I didn't even know that people were watching it. And honestly, like you were saying, like it's almost an amazing feeling because I kind of looked past the hate comments because there's trolls out there and it's easy to be hateful on the internet. And I really started seeing how my story inspired other people. And so I kind of just started posting more things where I was just like, here's another vulnerable moment. My second video was after my 5-year relationship blew up, and I recorded a video the day after. So
Oh.
I was crying and it was a hot mess. And the intention of it was to post one a year later to just kind of share and just be like, hey, here's what a year later looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had 3 videos on my channel, and the channel did really, really well. And then things started getting creepy and I deleted it and restarted. But it's definitely an amazing feeling. A lot of people that I talk to, when you talk to people about being vulnerable and really seeing that their message helps people, I think that everyone could kind of benefit from focusing their life a little bit more on the people and helping people out there instead of focus so much on themselves, especially in 2020 when there's endless amount of people that really just need some love and attention.
Totally. I agree with that. I definitely have learned that I derive more pleasure from helping than helping myself. And I know that there are definitely times where you need to step back and take care of yourself. But I guess my own personal satisfaction is I find happiness when I've impacted somebody else. And so that's what I do. Um, I don't have your story. I didn't accidentally post something on YouTube. I just have my little platform here on Instagram. And they're my fam. That's what I say every morning. Good morning, fam. And we chit chat back and forth. But thankfully, there's never been any negative commentary. And even if there was, nobody else could see it. So
Yeah,
it's
I
just hiding.
think that, like someone was saying the other day, they're saying when it comes to negative comments, like a lot of times you have to realize that happy people don't post stuff like that. Happy people don't attack other people. So I usually try to look around and past the negativity of the comment. And most of the time I don't try to reach out to people that post stuff, especially lately when it comes to hateful things, but I'm not going to negatively respond back because I think that that's just kind of throwing negativity around.
Right.
But I continue to push that positive message.
Yeah, I like that. And that's you kind of like the same thing that I'm doing as well. Just keep putting it out there for anybody that wants it. Those who don't want it, they're going to get it anyway. So
You're going to have this positivity and you're going to drink it and eat it whether you like it or not.
exactly. Exactly. And we're going to have fun.
Exactly. So what is like one of the stories that you feel like kind of touched you or moved you when it came to when you were starting to share your experiences with the world?
So when I first opened up about the hate crime, I'm trying to remember when I did it. I think I did the very first post about it was in December, and then I did one 6 months later. Um, Somebody reached out to me, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, this, that, or whatever." But then they're like, "Something similar kind of happened to me," and it became very serious. It was, it was less of just kind of like, "Okay, thank you, whatever," and more of like, "Oh my God, what happened?" And so they were explaining their story to me, and I don't think they know because it was through text, but I was sobbing because it was horrible. But at the same time, like through the course of the conversation, it was like we're both accepting of what happened and acknowledging that although we accept it, we still may not be okay from it. And it was just a really beautiful thing. I know it sounds tragic, but I think that was probably one of my favorite interactions. Was one just relating to somebody that went through a similar thing, but then also me being able to open up completely because I'm finally talking to somebody who understands. They're not just here listening to me, they went through it and they know the feeling. So I also benefited from the conversation personally as well. And that was probably to this day the best conversation that I've had that has ever come from anything I posted. And
Yeah,
I won't tell his story, but it was
yeah,
really cool to have that connection.
yeah. I think that a lot of people, when it comes to mental health or when it comes to like your specific situation, like a lot of times I think people suffer alone and they don't realize the healing power that is out there when it comes to connecting with someone who can actually understand that pain.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I've tried to share my stories of pain with people who have not gone through situations like that. Like, I personally, you talked about a hate crime, and I've personally dealt with one of those as well. And so, when it comes to going out to gay clubs, when it comes to being out in public and being a little bit more flamboyant or gay than the average guy, like, it is always kind of in the back of my mind. Safety is something that crosses my mind all the time. So I kind of observe my surroundings, and I've tried to explain that to some people. Like, I got taken to a straight bar. Uh, my friends make fun of me for calling them straight bars because to them they're just the bar. It's the gay bars for them, but the straight bars for me. Um, my boyfriend at the time wanted to dance with me, and we were in a very conservative town. If anyone knows where Blacksburg, Virginia is, it's more of the college campus is agricultural, engineering type people. It's not really a place that tons of gay people end up going. Of course, I think there's gay communities everywhere you go. Hopefully, I'll be giving a speech here soon at Virginia Tech. Someone reached out to me about it. But I had witnessed someone at a bar like smash a glass on something and then use it as a weapon on someone's face. And for me personally, having experienced hate crime in that sense, viewing it when it happens to someone else, when alcohol is involved, and then also viewing it from where someone just attacked me for being who I am, I personally was extremely uncomfortable dancing with my boyfriend around tons of drunk, straight, redneck men.
Mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend had a few drinks in him and didn't really care. And a lot of my friends that are gay don't really care about that. They think that straight people just need to adapt to the gay people. Whereas for me, it was something that I was I was observant, and I just felt like the whole room was staring at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want another situation like that to happen because it took a really long time to recover from that. And
Absolutely.
it's definitely not something that a lot of people get to experience. And I hope that we are slowly moving towards LGBT people not having to experience that type of fear. But it's definitely something that's always in the back of my mind. Uh, I put my equality sticker on the back of my car with pride because I know that it's like a beacon of hope to anyone in the LGBT community around me. But I also, in the back of my head, I'm just like, don't ever park where like you're not going to be visible to other people when you're walking to your car. Don't go to your car if it's dark. Make sure that you're on the phone with someone. Like, those things cross my mind because of the stuff that I had to go through. And a lot of people don't understand that. When I try to explain it, I can feel that disconnect, that
Yeah.
they just don't understand it. They're like, "Oh yeah, yeah," but it's just your car in the dark alley. It's not that scary.
Well, but it is to us at least. Sorry, I don't know what I did. I did something.
You lost all your tan.
I
Summer is
know.
gone.
That's okay. I'm not worried about it. I've accepted the fact that I'm very pale. But no, yeah, it is. It's even to me, it was eye-opening to kind of to be so self-aware of things that I wasn't worried about before. You know, and I'm sure I don't have to tell that to you. You understand. You just explained it. Like, even for me now, walking my dog at night, it's one of those like looking over my shoulder, no music in my ear, so I can hear if there's somebody around me, sort of thing. Um, yeah, it's weird, and it's one thing also that I've noticed, and I think it's important for people to understand is even if you think that you're okay and you think that you've healed from it, something can happen and all of that trauma can come right back. And that threw me for a loop when I hit my 1 year, I guess, mark of when it happened, the entire month of June, I was just really stressed and really irritable and didn't really get it, didn't really understand why. And then when it got closer to that date, I found myself getting nervous. And I was like, I don't get this. Like, it's just another day, like it happened, whatever. Um, and then I talked to somebody and realized that I'm just re-experiencing all of those emotions all over again. And I didn't know how to explain that to anybody. Thankfully, when I just say that, people are like, oh, yeah, and they give me a pass and they understand. But that to me was a really big lesson. It was just that it's totally okay to, you know, re-feel those emotions. It's not a derailing in your healing. It's not a setback. It's just normal. And I think that that's probably something that's always going to happen. Is it'll just at any point in time hit me and I'll feel it again, but I feel it and then I let it go. So yeah, it's weird how these events kind of are always there. They change things that you didn't expect, but we cope, we deal with it, and we move forward. So
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a mindset around it. I think that when you can become a very victimized person by an event like that in your life, and then there's the ability to heal from it and move forward. And it sounds like you are taking a lot of the right steps to healing, and also sharing your story, I think, is a process of healing. One thing that I really liked that you said was that you don't share anything that you haven't already like overcome. So when it comes to something that you share, you are sharing it because you know it's going to help somebody else, but you're also not sharing it to where it can be flipped around and used as a sword. I think that there's some people who share a little bit too soon. I think that you have to think of a situation and be like, okay, if someone says something really mean about this, is it going to really set me back in the healing process? Or am I strong enough now to be able to discuss this without being triggered by those really intense emotions that come along with suffering from one of those events in your life?
yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why I didn't even talk about it publicly for 6 or 7 months. I just kept it to my friends that came and visited me in the hospital and my close family because I didn't want that kind of attention. And I didn't want, I knew that I was not emotionally prepared for people reaching out and I'm so sorry this happened and tell me about it, because I was not ready to tell the story and I was not ready to have the emotional flood of people finding out about it. So when I did end up posting about it, was the first time I got the tattoo. That was the first time that I was ever public about it. But at that point, I was making a lot of progress. I was making a lot of steps towards healing, and I was ready. I was ready to answer people's questions, and I was ready to tell the story and relive that experience. I had got myself in a better state of being before it. Because like you said, I didn't want anybody to be able to manipulate it and make it something that would bring me down or hurt me or whatever else.
Yeah, I feel like just like a lot of people kind of turn it against like women when they're in a situation where men take advantage of them, and they say, oh, well, the way that you were dressing, or they try to flip it around and make you less of a victim than you really are in the moment. And when it comes to stuff like that, it just disheartens the whole idea that you can't put the victim down for being a victim. Like my sister just moved to Baltimore, and I was just like, oh my gosh, please be careful. I was like, when you're in college, walking on a college campus, like, yes, there can be dangers, but like, always be aware that your surroundings aren't always safe. And I was like, walking around on a college campus is very different than walking around Baltimore. And I just don't want her to experience any type of trauma to learn that lesson in life. I know that I had to learn it that way from being attacked by someone, but I want to instill that knowledge to her. I don't want her to be fearful to where she's just scared of everything, but I just want her to know that her surroundings might not always be the safest, and she needs to be aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I would have been aware of that as well.
Yeah.
That is like that's the first comment I always get is, why were you walking home? It's like, I shouldn't have to be afraid to walk home. But I get it that you're right, exactly what you said. Your surroundings aren't always safe. Whether you want them to be or not, it's better to be prepared. Not scared, but just aware. So, yeah, I feel that.
Awesome. So kind of moving away from that topic and kind of back to just mental health in general for 2020, I know that a lot of people are having to readjust in lots of different ways, whether it's work or with their kids or just life in general. Because I mean, the social aspect of life has been very much manipulated and changed by this pandemic. What are some things that you're kind of doing to normalize and stay positive and be in a healthy mindset in 2020?
Well, there's a couple of different things, and I guess the first thing that I'll tackle, because I feel like it's the most taboo, is medication. I actually just visited my doctor last week and talked to him about increasing the amount that I'm taking, because it was working at one point, and I can see the patterns. I'm noticing a lack in motivation and a lack in appetite, and so I was just like, hey, like, I'm okay right now, but I'm seeing this, I'm noticing this, and I want to get ahead of it. And so we increased the dose that I'm taking, and in 2 weeks when that kicks in, I'm sure I'll feel better. But I think that's a really important thing to acknowledge for people, because I think given the situations that are happening right now, people who previously weren't depressed, that may not have needed medication, might benefit from it now. And it's not something that they're going to think about, because it's not like near you, where it's been a common theme the majority of our life. And so I just want to try to remove that stigma that needing medication does not make you weak, right? It exists for a reason. And if it helps you, why would you not do it? I don't think that we need to struggle because we're afraid, embarrassed, or we're too prideful. So that is the major thing that I've done for myself, is just man up and go talk to my doctor and get more medicine. Other things that I'm doing, I mean, I have all these plants, so that makes me that makes me happy.
Got lots of oxygen in there.
I have so much oxygen in my house. My bathroom has a skylight, so even my bathroom has 8 plants in it. It's just fun. Like, my windowsills are full of propagated plants, and then I give them away. Like, I don't need them, but y'all have them. That makes me really happy. But also, I'm trying to get back into the exercise thing. The gyms are opening. I'm not really sure how I feel about going just yet, but I go early in the morning, so there's not really a lot of people. But I do think exercise is really key, because it definitely, like Elwood says, it definitely makes you happier. And that is a big piece for me. But I've also started playing video games again. I haven't played a video game in like 3 years. But what am I going to do? Like, I'm not going to go out. I don't have anything to do. So I pick those up, and I play it with my brother. So I'm connecting with my family again. So it's just a lot of these really small things that don't fully take a lot of effort. I think exercising takes a lot of effort, but the other stuff, they're simple things. I could have been doing these the whole time. I just never felt like I had the time. And now I have way too much time. So
Yeah, I think like before the pandemic, a lot of us, there was so many things on our plate where we're just like, oh, I just don't have the time to learn this skill, or I don't have time to do this, don't have time to really communicate with these people. And now that we're given time, I think that it really is about shifting that mindset to, hey, let's go back to 2019 when I said I didn't have time, and let's pull some of those things out and let's get some of those things done. One thing that I kind of liked that you said was that you kind of started monitoring things and noticing like things that were kind of off again. And that's why you went to your doctor and asked to have your dosage up. I think that that's one thing that a lot of people need to be a little bit more observant of. I think so many times we almost walk like zombies through life, and we don't really pick up on a lot of the things that if we actually did focus a little bit more on ourselves, which we're talking about doing things and giving out to the community, but you also said you need to step back sometimes and focus on yourself. I mean, you're the one person that's going to know yourself the best. So if you do kind of feel like, hey, I'm not usually this type of person that just doesn't feel any drive to do something today. Like 2019, I got home after 8-hour shifts and I was shooting out YouTube videos, doing tons of different work for my life coaching. And 2020 hit and I was just like, oh, I'm just mentally exhausted. And I think a lot of it had to do with just the politics of everything that's going on, the movements that are going on, because I care so much about everyone around me that the amount of hatred that I'm seeing in the world, it does drain me a lot mentally. But just kind of picking up on things that you know kind of make you happy. So for you, like your plants bring you joy, and just surrounding yourself with that is something that you can do, which is very small and doesn't really require a lot of action other than watering your house. I'm sure your water bill is great where you are. Hopefully your water is free.
We just don't look at it. It's fine.
But I think that a lot of people, medication is definitely a good route to take, especially for people, because chemical imbalance is really not something that you can control. But like you were saying, exercising and things like that, that also does affect the chemicals in your body and what your body is producing. And I think that a lot of times people, when they start taking the medication, they just accept and give themselves the title of I'm sick, or there's something wrong with me and this medicine is fixing me or is here to keep me as normal as possible. But I think the mindset is you are normal no matter what. Like your chemicals in your body are you. That's you. And I think that when it comes to medication, lifestyle, diet, and medication all go together. Like it's not you just take the medication and it's a magic fix. I think what we put into our bodies, like I can definitely tell when I put the wrong things in my body, junk food, especially, like my mood is just like down the drain, versus when I eat healthy, exercise, like I think that my personality is just like completely different. And then it's also what you surround yourself with. Like if your house makes you depressed, like if it's just gray walls, like I painted my room, it was a dark green, and I painted it a bright, it was called fairy tale green. But I noticed a mood change when I walked in my room. Just that bright color, it made it so much happier in my room. And then like I've been really manipulating the people in my life to where I've surrounded myself with my really close friends, whereas before I would just surround myself with anyone who would give me the time. And I've noticed that when I surrounded myself with productive, positive friends, it's really impacted my life socially, and my mental health seems to be, I would say since September, my mental health has been like shooting up in the upward direction once I started taking notice of the things that were actually really dragging me down back in August.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, like noticing them is key. And I think one of the biggest problems is we are with ourselves every single day. And so we don't notice these little shifts that are taking us down, right? It just becomes the norm. And trying to get people to understand that that's not normal, trying to get them to take a step back and actually look at what they're doing on a day-to-day basis and noticing the small changes that have all built up. And now you're a completely different person, but you don't realize it because it happened over a span of time. And I mean, that's what happened to me before I went back on medicine. And it's common. And I want people to realize that you don't have to be sad because you think that's who you are. Things have changed and you just aren't realizing it. Just like with fitness, you're going to be the last person to notice your results because you look at yourself every single day. So you're also going to be the last person to realize that you're going down an unhealthy channel. So like you said, it's good to change things and it's good to take a step back. But I also like that you talked about your room. There's definitely a lot to say about the theory of color. I can't change the color of my walls, but I've put a bunch of stuff on my walls to give them color. But back in my house in Louisiana, I painted my bathroom a bright green as well. And it was just so cute to walk in my bathroom every day and it's literally glowing. So yeah, I definitely approve of your fairy green.
Yeah, I think that people really need to take time to analyze those negative feelings, that because I think there are things that kind of you just walk into a room and you feel it. Like maybe it's your job as a whole. Like maybe you need a career change. Maybe your job just drains you.
Mhm.
And that doesn't just drain like your work life, like your home life is also like impacted by that. I know that before I got this current job and when I started doing life coaching, now that I've been doing lives like this every single evening, I go home and my sister and my nephew live with me, and I'm just like excited to see my nephew, and he plays video games. And it used to be where like the dogs, when I got home and they would just bark and growl and just, it would annoy me so much because I was so irritated through the day at work that when I got home, it went out to my house as well. But now that I've been doing these lives, which are literally the highlight of my day, like I love doing these, and then doing work that I actually love and I'm very passionate about, I go home and I want to play the video games with my nephew. They don't stress me out. The dogs barking are just like background noise to me. They don't annoy me at all.
Mhm.
And I don't think that people realize that things like that really do impact your entire outlook on life. And I mean, relationships can do the same thing, friendships can do the same thing. People that are in your life all the time, I think you really have to like sit down and focus and figure out what things are really kind of pulling you down.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. I did see somebody put a comment that I want to address, saying that all medications have side effects and don't depend on them. For your first point, yes, all medicines do have side effects, and that's why you have to find the right ones and the right amounts. I didn't just go to the doctor and find Wellbutrin the first time I took it. I went through a couple and I had adverse effects that I didn't like, and so I changed it. Um, it's a balance. You have to experiment a little bit. You're most likely not going to find the right fit the first time. And I also agree, you shouldn't depend on it. It's one aspect, it's one thing that helps. We talked about diet, exercise, surroundings. It's medication is just one piece that's available to you. And it's important that if you want it, if you think it'll help you, to try it because it's available. It's a great thing for some people. And to me personally, it has been a life changer. So I do agree that there are side effects, and I do agree that you shouldn't depend on it. But I also think that with the right combination of everything, it's a good addition.
Yeah, I am definitely a firm believer in if you are taking medication, that just, and speaking to professionals about it, we are not professionals and we are just going to give advice from our experiences that we've had when it comes to other people's depression. That's a completely different chemical and it's a different trial. And a lot of times we take advice from people who aren't really professionals. A lot of times because I do life coaching, and sometimes I hear people's advice that they give their friends, and I'm just like sitting there like, oh God, stop giving advice to anyone. You are not qualified for this.
Uh-huh.
That might work for you. I went to a YouTube event in California last year, and they had a mental health panel, and they had this YouTuber, and she's very young. She was probably just getting into her 20s, and her advice was you need to just push yourself to the edge, to the point where you just feel like you're just going, there's like the end is near, and she's like, and then that's when you fall into happiness. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh God, no. Like, that is not what you need to be giving people advice. Maybe that's how she works through it, because we have to realize that everyone has their own like fail safes, and a lot of people, maybe someone's got really great family, someone might not have really great family over here, so you might be able to push yourself to the limits and fall back on these people, and they can pick you back up when you need them to. Not everyone has that. So I think that we have to be like really careful when giving advice. um, we have to talk more along of, this is my personal experience,
Yes.
whereas like we would love you to talk to your doctor, and if that doctor gives advice and it's not really great, try a new doctor.
Mhm.
Because when it comes to life coaches, when it comes to counselors, doctors, I mean, there's doctors out there that will say, oh, you don't have cancer. And then you go to another doctor and they're like, yeah, you have this kind of cancer. They must have not checked for that. You have to find the right fit. So just like you were saying with the medication, yes, they have side effects. And I've watched my mother struggle with depression and anxiety her entire life. And I've watched the ups and downs of her having to explore medication. I've watched her go through a financial situation where she couldn't afford medication, where she tried other types of drugs to get herself to feel normal. And it's definitely a scary like place, but I think what we're trying to open up here is we have to talk about it. Like, don't battle that by yourself. That's very lonely and scary, and that path is so much easier when you've got someone that you can talk to about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. And sometimes even I feel like I don't have somebody I can talk to. I also think that what I struggle with and I'm trying to get over and I'm encouraging other people to get over is you're not a burden when you need to talk to somebody. And that's my biggest thing is I am so willing to listen to everybody else, but the moment I need to talk to somebody, I feel like I shouldn't because I don't want to be a burden or I don't want them to worry or I don't want to add something to their plate. And I am actively trying to not do that. You can ask my mom. I call her like 8 times a day. It's just, it's hard. It is very hard when you're so used to being the rock to switch scripts and be like, hey, actually, can you listen to me? Or can you come over? Can you, whatever, like, let's do something, get my mind off it sort of thing. Yeah, when I was recovering, I would not ask people for help and I would not complain about it because I felt like a broken record. I'm definitely doing a lot better now with reaching out to certain people. I won't reach out to like a group. I'll never put it in our group text, but I'll reach out to somebody and just like, do you want to go study? I don't want to be alone. You know, just things like that. And realizing that you're not a burden is super important. It's hard, but it's important. So if any of you guys are feeling that same way, just do it. Just reach out to somebody, ignore that feeling. And once you feel better, once you understand that people are willing to talk to you, try it again the next time. Think about that. Remember that you dealt with it. You realized you weren't a burden. So stop thinking that and just keep going. That's the best thing I can think to do. And it's working for me and I hope it works for you, but I promise you that you're not a burden. You might think you are, but I'm telling you that you're not. And your friends will tell you the same thing, or your family. We would much rather hear you than watch you spiral down, for sure.
Yeah, this year I've had where I just, because everyone kind of sees me as a positive person, everyone sees me as happy. People really do kind of form their opinion about what you post on social media. And like you, I don't really post, hey guys, like I'm spiraling down as a Facebook status. I kind of keep that more to my close friends, and it's something that I kind of send in a personal text message, especially when it comes to sharing with people who know a little bit more about my full backstory.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, because I do live in the middle of nowhere, like I drive an hour to my office and then I drive an hour home. And that's not with traffic. That is 50 miles here, 50 miles back. And a lot of my friends live in DC or Richmond or Virginia Beach or West Virginia. And one thing that kept falling through was I was asking for people to hang out because I was spiraling down. And I was just like, I really would love to hang out with you this weekend. And people are like, oh, we don't want you to drive 3 hours just to hang out for an hour or two. But it took me saying, hey guys, like I am in the darkest place I've ever been in my life. I really need you guys to be in my life right now. And like just asking to hang out was my way of trying to help without admitting that I was in a dark place. But it took me admitting that I was in a dark place for my friends to just be like, hey, I'm here. And my birthday, all my friends from all over showed up. I had friends from back in high school. I had friends from my college days. I had friends from all the jobs that I've had all over. And it was such an amazing feeling because all these people I had opened up to. I posted a Facebook status where I was just like, there are events happening in my life, and with everything that 2020 is throwing on top of what I was already dealing with, it's just gotten to the point where I do need some support. I need people to not attack me for not talking to them, because people do that all the time. I think people don't realize that some of the things that they say can hurt people, and a lot of times hurt people are reaching out to other people that are also hurting, and they take it more of as an offense to themselves instead of, hey, maybe this person just can't talk right now because they are also struggling.
Right.
And my birthday was amazing. I cried a lot, just from seeing like how my friends from all over, which I think that I've been blessed by God with friends because they're the most amazing people in the world. I was more worried before they all got there that everyone would get there and not get along. And then just seeing every single one connect. And I was just going around everywhere talking to different people and hearing everyone tell stories about different parts of my life. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, he is that way. And just connecting, it really made me realize that I've got amazing friends. And like you said, you're not a burden to your friends. I have given so much to the world that my friends, when I call for help, like they are there 100% of the time. Sometimes you just have to be a little bit more vocal about, hey, I am in a dark place,
Mm-hmm.
period. I need your help, period. Like, because sometimes if you just say, hey, let's hang out, they don't understand the circumstances.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm really glad that you had that experience with your birthday though. That's really awesome. But also kudos to you for, going above and saying like, okay, no, really though, I really need help. Like that's good that you didn't just back off and be like, okay, well my friends don't want to hang out with me. Like I feel like that's a really easy thing to do, just shrug it off and be upset about it. But you proved to yourself by opening up just a little bit more that they will be there for you. They just didn't read the subtext in your original request. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think someone said speaking to a stranger also can help. I definitely agree that when it comes to um, meeting strangers that have that similar connection to you, to where, like you were saying at the beginning of this, that you shared a pain and you understood each other on that level. But another thing that a lot of people don't really understand is there is a really strong disconnect when it comes to social media connecting with people versus actually being there physically with someone and like just hugging them and talking to someone that you actually really, really do care about or really do respect. Um, I think hearing you're amazing from someone that you really do respect, I think that that means a lot more than the thousands of you're very sexy, you're hot that you get when you post pictures online. And
Yeah.
it's definitely nice to get those compliments, but I think when anyone scrolls through those types of things, when you start getting a lot of those, it almost just becomes word on paper and it's not really anything past that for some people.
Yeah, absolutely. But whoever said, talking to strangers helps, I agree. Talk to me. I talk to plenty of strangers every day. I may not always have great advice, but I'm willing to listen and to empathize to the best of my ability. So if you ever feel completely alone and you don't have anybody else to talk to, I will be the stranger that listens to you.
Yes, yes, you will. I've talked to him multiple times, so I can attest to that. But I think another thing is just like realizing that other people are busy, and don't let your brain trick you into believing that because someone's not responding that they don't care. Because when it comes to day-to-day life, like I'm not sitting on my Facebook all day. It's very draining to me to be on social media, so I try to disconnect. That's why I've got like this shirt that says unplugged. um, I think that that's really important, which honestly my mental health started shooting up when I decided in the evenings I'm not using my phone. On the weekends I'm not using my phone.
Just
And
for me.
I have to, but I also live in the middle of nowhere, so like I've got the mountains, where we don't have service, so I listen and talk to the birds.
Yeah, well, I have concrete, so I'm on social media in the evening.
Yeah. I mean, and to each his own, like anything that like brings joy and happiness, like and connection. I think as humans, we are meant to connect with other people. Like we are not meant to be alone. So any way that you can connect, and during a pandemic, we have to find ways to connect, which is one reason that I started doing these lives because I think it's really cool to connect. And I also love connecting the people that follow me to people like you and all my other friends that are out there being lights and positive. Because I think filling your Instagram with more people like you that post positive things and bringing awareness to things that need to be talked about, I think that's important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And I've been loving these that you were doing, so I feel super honored that you asked me. Very nervous, but super honored. Um, yeah, these are really great. Like, it's a really great disruption in the social media because right now, particularly, there's a lot of negativity going around. And so coming across something like this is a really good break. It just kind of helps reset before you go back out there. So I'm trying to unplug a little bit more right now, but I am weak and I catch myself in it a lot more than I should be. So.
Yeah, I've kind of completely removed myself from responding to people's negative stuff on social media. So, like, if I see a Trump post where people are like calling Democrats horrible things, I don't even like it when Democrats call Republicans horrible things. I think there's a way that you can spin it to be a little bit more positive and productive and adding value to society, whereas calling people names and attacking people and pretty much acting like these people are lesser human beings because they don't see eye to eye with you, like it's draining to me. Uh, I delete any negative comment off of any of my social media. I don't respond to it. I just delete it because another thing that really hurts me is seeing someone I love being hateful.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see my friends defending me, which I'm thankful that I have friends that do that, but when they're being hateful to the person that's being hateful to me, I just feel like it's just stirring up more negativity and
Yeah,
hate.
it's just a
And I'm
cycle.
just like, let's not have that at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's when I go post another self-help meme to my story.
Yeah. And
Like,
I
here,
think I've
have
like
this.
screenshot a lot of yours and shared them on my story as well. Like one
Hey,
thing
and
that,
that's what they're here for. I mean, half of them I don't even make up. Some of them are my own thoughts. Some of them aren't. But like, share them. I
yeah,
go for it. I'm
I,
pretty sure my story is shareable. I don't know if that's a setting. I think it might be. I don't know. But screenshot it. I don't care.
yeah, I think that one thing that I did on social media, so Facebook, I went from almost 5,000 friends to 500 friends.
Mm-hmm.
So that really added positive to my feed because I got rid of the people who are just very negative, hateful people. And I kept really close personal people that I cared about or people who inspired me. And I saw a post that said, stop following influencers and start following people who inspire you to do amazing things in the world. So instead of following tons of people who are just like posting pictures saying, look at me, tell me I'm pretty, follow people that say, hey, you're beautiful, go out and do what you're made to do. God gave us all gifts. Use those gifts to make the world a better place. And when I started doing that, I don't know if people noticed, but I actually hit the max. So Instagram will only let you follow 7,500 people.
Really?
Um, yeah. So anyone who followed me, I followed back because I just thought it was respectful and I wanted people to know that I cared about them. But I started realizing that my feeds were just not negative and they weren't inspiring. So I've been slowly unfollowing people. So when I see posts, if it's one negative post and I go to their profile and for the most part it's good, I'll stay. But since I've been removing the people who just make me feel negative, and sometimes it's not even like hate, it's just every single picture is shirtless. Every single picture is just like asking people to just like tell them how gorgeous they are. It's not necessarily that that's a bad thing. It's just my mind space goes into a judgmental place. And I'm just like, that's not good. I don't need that negative mind. I don't need to be being judgmental. That person is not doing anything wrong. Just get rid of them off of my feed so I don't judge them and just let them live their life and let me live a better life by not judging them on a regular basis.
Yeah. No, I like that. Yeah. I definitely used to be more of that, look at me, tell me I'm pretty, because I definitely grew up ugly. And then I got a little bit pretty and people started giving me compliments and all this great attention, and I got really into it. And then I realized kind of the same thing as you, that it's not a great environment. It's not like a good um, image to portray, because it's not who I am as a person, but that's who I was online. Uh, so I'm like a healthy mix now, I think. Um, but yeah, I saw that same influencer post as well. And I actually did go through and I unfollowed a lot of the bodybuilders that I was following, because I was developing really unhealthy body expectations. And to your point, once I started removing those people, I stopped feeling anxious about needing to be perfected and needing to go to the gym and needing to do all these things. It was really good. Now I pretty much just I follow just a select few who I actually use their workouts. And then just meme pages, because I prefer to get on social media to dissociate from my actual life. So
Yeah, it's funny when people look at, because when we first started talking about doing this live and you were saying that you were nervous about it, I was just like, looking at your social media, I would never said that you looked like a nervous person to do something like this. But I guess like when it comes to being around your friends that you're comfortable with, it really does kind of make you feel comfortable and safe to just kind of be outgoing. But when it comes to stuff like this, it is a little bit different, and it does take getting yourself into a place where it's a little bit uncomfortable. Um, but I definitely think that this conversation has been really productive. I think that we've touched on a lot of really cool points, and I've been like reading through the comments, and I think that a lot of people are enjoying it as well.
good. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
But I think that sometimes we form ideas of people, like you and I have never really met in person. So our understanding of each other is what we see from posting on social media. And a lot of people don't realize how far off that can be.
Well, yeah, don't post the bad things on social media. We experience those in private, and then we show the good things. So I agree that developing an idea of somebody solely based on social media is a little bit unrealistic. Because like you said, based off of my social media, you didn't think I'd be someone that's nervous to do this stuff. I totally am. I'm just also the kind of person that will be like, okay, we're going to give it a shot. But to your point, like I go through a lot of really dark phases, but I don't post those. Nobody would know about that. So they just think that I'm this happy-go-lucky person all the time. Like it's effortless positivity. It's not, even the influencers, we all go through ups and downs. We all go through dark places. So our social media reflects the good side, but take it with a grain of salt, because it does come with the dark side as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can look at people's social medias and wish that they had the life that they see on social media. And I think a lot of us will probably look at our own social media and wish that our life was what we display on social media. I would love for mine to be all the happiness that I post on social media, and that's it. But there are definitely some dark times, and I've seen a lot of comments where people are like, oh, well, when you're attractive, life is better. And yes, there are benefits to having people find you attractive. I think that there's positives in anything. A lot of people can look at other people's lives and be envious of anything else as well. You can be envious of someone's job. You can be envious of someone's relationship. But as long as you're focusing on that envy, you're not really focusing on making yourself better and loving your own life, because you're like, well, if I looked like you, my life would be better. And I think as we're being more authentic, as we're sharing our stories, people can kind of see that we have our struggles every day as well. The look department doesn't grant you any like safety from any of the other things that we've had to experience in life. And yes, we post those smiling pictures, and yes, we go on fun vacations and post pictures of that. But in between those moments are our struggles that we don't share online. And I think the more we share that, we don't have to post pictures of us crying.
Mhm.
But just talking about it and letting people know that, hey, I was just crying the other day because of something I was going through, and life gets hard sometimes, and it's okay to cry.
I agree. I totally agree. And um, I was definitely one of those people. I was definitely one of those people that compared myself all the time. And I still do from time to time, but at least now I can be a little bit more aware of it. But one thing that you guys need to really take home, if you don't take home anything else from this conversation, um, at least take home the fact that comparison is the death of happiness. I have a little spinny wheel. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm just going to keep talking about that. Um, it's it's okay, I guess, in a sense, to aspire when you look at somebody's stuff, but use that as like a motivator to achieve other goals. Don't use it as a reason to, hate on yourself or depreciate yourself.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times we are our own worst critic. We definitely judge ourselves. Like, we know ourselves better than anyone else out there. And like you were saying, if you're going to look at other people's lives, use that as inspiration to set goals for yourself and move towards those goals. And just doing stuff like this, like talking to someone like you that I've really just watched across social media for years. We've been friends for
That's
quite a
awesome.
long time.
Yeah.
And just talking to people and just kind of getting to know the real them, it really does. I think since I started doing life coaching, and since I've been open with my friends, like people I talked to in high school that I thought were cool or popular, um, it's funny to look back and talk to them about their high school experience, because a lot of times we focus so hard on our own story that we don't realize that other people are dealing with their own. Like, I talked to one of my friends who I was just like, I wish my life was yours in high school. Like, everyone just wanted to be your friend, everyone would go to your party, everyone just wanted to be around you, and I was just kind of the fly on the wall that some people didn't even know that I went to school with them. And after we became adults and I am where I am now, he's where he's at now, and now we're able to speak to each other, he had a miserable high school, just like I did with mine. And he didn't have anyone to talk to about it. No one talked to him about that kind of stuff. It was
Right.
all just popularity, drinking, and partying and being cool. He didn't talk about his learning disability that really made school hard. He didn't talk about how he didn't feel like any of the people around him were actually friends that he could open up to and talk to about the struggles at home. And so, as much as it sucks to look at your own story sometimes, like, you have to open up and communicate with the people around you, and you be surprised how many people you wish your life was like. Your life is probably more alike than you thought,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys can probably benefit from each other's just conversation and sharing the struggles and pains that you're dealing with, because I think that with communication comes better understanding. uh, Open and honest communication. There's too many influencers out there that pretend to have a life that they don't. Don't pay attention to them. That's why they say don't follow influencers, because they're, look at my mansion, while they're living in this small apartment. But
Right.
on social media, it's a mansion, and they set unachievable goals.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my friends have moved to LA to be models or YouTubers, and they just really flopped. But you'd never know from their social media, because those photo editing apps on their phone make them look like successful models out there.
Oh, they should teach me. No, I get that for sure. And like I don't have the energy to try to pretend. I have a lot of student debt and you guys are gonna know about it because I'm not gonna spend time trying to pretend like it's not there. Uh,
Uh,
plus I worked really hard on this degree, so I'm gonna flaunt it every chance I can. But yeah, I get it. And it's impossible not to look at somebody and be like, man, that would be really nice when you're struggling. But at the same time, and to your point, they look really happy, but they might not be. And you're wishing for that, but you don't understand like what the consequences are, what comes with it. Like your friend said, popularity came with feeling isolated. as somebody who didn't have that popularity, we always wanted it, but we had friends that we knew and trusted and wanted to be around, and he didn't. He just had a ton of acquaintances. So yeah, it's really easy to compare, but at least if you can kind of step back and understand that it's not always the best thing to do, or, you know, I'm envy of this right now, but like you step out of it for a second and you realize like, no, I'm good, I'm content, I have all these positive things, I don't need this. It'd be nice, but I don't need it. I'm not going to be upset that I don't have it. I still do that. I still struggle with that a lot. So it's not like overnight you're going to be like, okay, screw everybody else, I'm happy with what I am.
Yeah.
But understanding the bad thoughts and then rectifying them with like outlining good things that you have, it's a really good like way to put things into perspective, and that's definitely helped me a ton in the past couple of months.
Yeah. One thing that I've kind of noticed on social media, which I can't stand when this happens, but there's people out there that are attacking people, like you were just saying, how you paid good money and spent a lot of time on your degree and you're going to flaunt it. There are people out there that shame people for sharing their success, or like I've seen this year where people are like, okay, I'm so over people posting pictures from last year's vacation. Stop sharing your workout videos. Stop sharing your tips and tricks for what you do during COVID. And I'm like, why are you being so hateful? Like,
Right.
those people are trying to find positivity in a not so great time. If reflecting on previous vacations gets them through not being able to go on a cruise this year, let them do it. Like, it's not hurting anybody. Those
Right.
people most of the time aren't doing it to make anyone feel bad. They are doing it to make themselves feel good. They're more likely, those memories are fond with people that they did it with. I think that those people, it's just like, you've got to stop. As soon as I see anyone that does that, it's just like instant unfollow, block. I don't need this negativity in my life. Or people who attack people for being crazy when it comes to like loving Harry Potter or being obsessed with anime or K-pop. Like, I see so many people just attack people for just being so passionate about something.
Mhm.
And that's something that I strive to find in my friends. Like, I love my friends that are just like, I'm crazy. I love Halloween decorations like year round. And I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. Like, I
Mhm.
love people that are that passionate about something,
Yeah.
because when it comes to my YouTube and my social media platforms, I am so passionate about it. And I've had people in my life that make me feel bad for having that passion. And I'm just like, ew, remove yourself from my life. Like, I want to be happy. I don't want people to make me feel bad about being happy.
Yeah, and kind of going back to the comparison thing, when I see people who are like so unapologetically like pro something, like they just love it, they talk about it all the time, they do stuff for it, I get jealous. I'm like, man, I wish that I was that passionate about something. Like, I feel like when I see these people, I'm like, I love you for it. And then I'm like, why am I not this passionate about something? And it's just that cycle, right? But no, I totally agree. Let people do what they want to do. Just let people be excited about stuff. It does not harm you. And if you don't like it, just stop watching it or skip past that story. Um, People just want to be mean sometimes, but
Yeah.
um,
Happy people are never mean. So when you see stuff like that, take it with a grain of salt and just like, Christians say pray for them. If you aren't a Christian, you don't believe in religion or anything like that, or of a different religion, just like send positive vibes in their direction. Don't let their negativity ruin yours. I think that that's really important.
yeah, totally. Definitely. And I've just gotten very good. Like, you don't reply, I just don't even read. I'm like, oh, this doesn't sound nice, I'm not going to finish it. I just don't care. What if you want to be bitter, that's fine, be bitter, but I don't I don't need it. But I also will never ever click on the comment section of any post. Like, if it's not mine, like one of those ones that's been shared like a billion times, I will never read the comments. Because one, I'll get sucked into it, and two, it's just so bitter and people fighting. And like, I don't want to be in this, but then I can't stop reading. So I just don't go to them. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. I've been reading a book. Um, it's Think Like a Monk, and it's by Jay Shetty. He's like a life coach guy who went to become a monk, and now he left, and now he's kind of sharing his knowledge with the world. And it's crazy how much stuff I'm just like gaining from that book. And I've just been like throwing it at everybody. I've already bought like 8 copies of the book to give to friends, because any friend that's struggling, I'm just like, oh my gosh, you need this book. So
I love
most of
those
his
people.
sales are from me. I purchased that, and I tell everybody to read it, because I just think every single time I listen to it. So I've got it on Audible, and I have a hard copy, because there's a lot of things he lists off that's a lot easier to actually physically see it. So I've been like listening to it on my ride to and from work, since I've got an hour commute. And just every day I'm just more and more impressed with what I'm hearing in that book. And I
Yeah.
definitely recommend people to read it, because thinking like a monk, it really does. I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what being a monk is. It's a mindset, and the book teaches great mindsets. And when you're saying I don't even like scroll through posts, like, that that's gonna mess up your mindset, so just don't do it. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I see people screenshot conversations that they've had that are negative, and then they share it on their wall, and I'm like, why?
Right. Yeah. Yes. Why? But again, not judging you. If that's your thing, if that's what you want to do, go for it. That brings you happiness. Do
If it brings you happiness to make your friends attack other people,
it.
do it.
And we will just ignore it.
And we will go about our merry way and post our smiling picture with a positive quote underneath.
Exactly. Except for I can't always think of quotes or captions to put on my photos, so I definitely do a lot more stories than I do. You don't have to do
I
stories.
go to brainy quotes. That's my secret. I literally type in like whatever theme I'm looking for. I'm just like, what's a good theme about, like, what's some good quotes about moving on or moving forward in life? And I just type that in, go to brainy quotes, and I will read through like 30 quotes before I find the one I want to use. But I definitely cheat. I don't memorize quotes, and I don't read books to where I know all those quotes.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Google is my best friend when it comes to finding a good, inspiring quote.
Absolutely. I'm gonna steal that. So the next time I post a photo and I have this super insightful caption, you're gonna know.
He Googled this one.
You're like, I told him where to go for this. I take full credit for this. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, I think I mean, it's been an hour and 15 almost. So you've kind of already left like if you take one thing from this conversation, but
Okay.
is there anything else that you would like to add towards the end of this call for the people that are still on watching?
Um, yes. As
Okay.
far as mental health goes, um, it's okay to not be okay. And if you feel like you're not okay, don't panic. Don't feel like you're weak, whatever. We all have times where we're not 100%, and that is perfectly okay. Just if you realize that you're down there for a while, do something, reach out to somebody, go to a doctor, do whatever it takes, but don't panic because it's normal and it's okay.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that.
To add on to that, like, I would say you are never crazy, sick, or wrong or anything. Like, don't think negatively of yourself when you're experiencing negative things in your life. Like, it is okay to ask for help. That does not mean anything less of you. You are put on this earth to be happy and to prosper. And sometimes that takes medication. Sometimes that takes counseling. Sometimes that takes dropping everything that you currently have in your life and doing something completely different. That is not wrong. You are not a bad person for cutting people out of your life that don't bring the best out in you. Like, you deserve to wake up every day feeling loved, and you deserve to be surrounded by people that make you feel important. And if you have to cut some people out or jump into a different group of people, different part of the world, do it. We've only got one life, and you're meant to be happy. Like, the people around you might be sad or depressed. You can try to help pull them up, but you've got to get yourself into that better place. And I mean, after I've found true love for myself, like, I want that for everybody. Like, I want people to look in the mirror and love themselves. And of course, I struggle with things occasionally, but it's definitely worth taking the time and finding that better place for yourself. Because once you get there, it is something that you want to share with the world. And I think that you have probably gotten to a place where you found some happiness that you didn't have before, and that's why you want to share it with the world, because
Absolutely.
it's a thing worth sharing.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And if my struggles have made me this way and they can do something good for you, then that is what we're going to do. I genuinely want everybody to find some type of happiness, even if it's temporary. It might be temporary for now, but you can find it later. I very much want that for all of you. Anybody that's listening, I hope that you're having a great day.
Yeah, I agree. Happiness is found in every moment of your life. It's not a destination. Don't set your happiness to, oh, when my birthday comes in a month. Like, happiness is now. Like,
Exactly.
you have to take every moment and make it happy, because we're not promised. Like, I'm sure there was tons of people that were like, 2020 is gonna be the year. And we've been slapped in the face with that one. We have to find happiness in the moments.
Yeah.
Even in 2020, there's positivity. We're still here, being happy.
Yeah, there's plenty to be happy about still.
He's got plants.
I have so many.
He's happy there with his plants. So awesome. Well, I really appreciate you doing this with me. You have definitely been someone in my life that, whether you know it or not, your posts bring a smile to my face when I'm scrolling through my social media. So I appreciate you doing this. Hopefully everyone that's watching this has gone and followed your page, because I want you to be able to inspire them as well. And I hope you have a great night, and hopefully we can do something like this again.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
one day we can not be just virtual friends. We can actually be real life friends once the pandemic's over.
yeah. We'll plan. We'll meet in the middle when we can fly and do things peacefully. But no, thank you so much for having me here. Like I told you, lately, everything I've been seeing from you has inspired me, and it's made me feel better about certain things that are happening around me right now. So to be a part of this is super great. So thank you so much for inviting me here to just speak.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I really enjoyed it. I will let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to do my hour commute home, listen to some Think Like a Monk.
Perfect. Okay, I don't know how to exit out of this.
I've got an end button on the top of my screen, so I can
okay.
just do that. But
All right,
have a good
perfect.
night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.